interesting interview for us. I spoke to Dave Cafferatta. He is an ex-New South Wales police officer, and his story is a very, very both sad, uplifting, and interesting all at the same time one. Now, Dave had a very, very, well, frankly, tough career. He was Curtis Cheng's. He was the first response to Curtis Cheng. There were a number of other particularly gruesome murders and scenes that he went to. I'll leave him to explain all of that. Now, as an unfortunate result of all this, Dave turned to alcohol and food. He got up to 180 kilograms. Yes, you heard that correctly. That's 180 kilograms. Obviously, that affected his health, affected his well-being, it affected his family, it affected everything else. Now, luckily, he came out of that. He beat the blues. He got into boxing, and he's down to around about 90 kilograms and fit as a fiddle, as you'll see in the interview. It's a really cool and interesting story. And I got to say, it was one of those ones where I even got less than 80-20. I spent most of the time just listening to Dave's really intriguing story. So I urge you to watch this one. Watch it right through to the end. Please like, please share. And especially if you're a law enforcement officer, first responder, if you've worked in the hospitals, you're a paramedic, fire person, anything like that, you're going to find this particularly interesting. Oh, also, of course, if you're a person who's wanting to lose weight and wanting to beat any other addictions, you're going to find this particularly interesting as well. But again, thanks so much, and less from me and more from Dave. Okay, introduce yourself and tell us your story.
Yep. David Cafferatta, my name is. My story is, well, when I was a child, right, growing up, my parents are from Argentina, and I had no family here except for my uncle. And my uncle was like the best uncle you can ever have. And long story short, on my mother's birthday, August 26, 1993, I just got home from school. I was excited. I knew my uncle was coming over for my mother's birthday. And then the news events came on live TV that there was a massacre in News, yeah, we thought the worst, because that's where my uncle lived. In Burwood, there's a suburb near the city. And my dad and my older brother rushed over there. And what happened was there was a man who had a rifle. This was before the gun laws came into Australia, before the Strathfield massacre, one of the big ones in New South Wales. And this man just went in a shooting rampage, and my uncle was a victim, and he got murdered. So I was a kid the day before, I was a child, and then the next day everything changed. The whole family changed. We went, it hit the family pretty hard. And since that day, I wanted to be a police officer, because the police officers at the scene, family here, did a great job. He went in the middle of the CBD and started shooting at him, and the cops, they had a shooting with him and wounded him and arrested him, and this is all things I found out as well in the news, and that's what I wanted to become. And so I was just 13, and that's what I wanted to do since I was a kid. So I joined the cops when I was 22 in 2003. 2003 I joined, and I joined in the second biggest CBD in New South Wales, which is Parramatta. So I joined, and young, but I had a little bit of experience with security, and I was involved in Hapkido and a bit of boxing and a bit of martial arts and things like that, just for experience to join the cops, because my father was a police officer in Argentina, in the army as well. So I joined, and the first week I was involved in a pretty major incident. It was the first 2 weeks, I think it was, where a man who wanted to hurt himself in a vehicle, and he ran a head-on collision with another vehicle, and we were just around the corner, so we actually saw the car get impacted, and the car was on fire. So I got out of the car, ran into the car, and the car exploded, and we can hear the man screaming. And so that was like the first couple of weeks, and maybe a week after, I saw a 12-year-old girl commit suicide as well, and I was the first one there as well at the scene. But so during my career, I had all these major incidents, and then I had a partner, and I had a son, and around the year 2015 was the year that all these other incidents all happened in my career, where for example, another one that hit the media was a Indian woman was on the phone to her husband in India, and she was walking through the Parramatta golf course, and she got stabbed on the neck. And again, I was the first one in the scene doing CPR, and I broke her ribs trying to save her life. And yeah, so I was slowly suffering and not sleeping before this incident, and my behavior started changing. I started drinking a bit too much. I thought it was just a phase that I was going through. So I was just, people at work, my colleagues were just telling me, you're changing, your behavior, you're snappy, you're angry. My partner, she noticed as well. I was isolating myself a lot. I thought it was just a phase. I had no idea what was going on. So I was only averaging like maybe an hour, 2 hours sleep a night. And I was eating and drinking. I was putting this weight on slowly and in denial that I needed help. So that incident happened. And then I remember that golf course incident, and it was night shift. And I was working with a probation officer, a female, and she was just new. She only started a month, so I didn't want to go close to the body. So, and then when we left the scene in the morning to go back to the station, the day shift inspector, he saw me. He had a warm cup of coffee in his hands, and he said to me, he told me off about overtime. Right, I had blood over my shirt. I looked like a zombie. And that's when I sort of knew I had a problem, because I grabbed him and I wanted to hit him because he was so out of touch. All he had to say was, "How are you? Well, are you okay?" Knowing where I was and what I tried to do, I had someone die in my arms, but and everyone pulled me away from him. And then I was involved in other major incidents that year as well, like suicides and people getting hit by trains, and just one after another. And then it's just my symptoms were getting worse. And then another major incident was at Parramatta headquarters, which is the New South Wales Police headquarters, which was in Parramatta. When I started that shift, I just had a bad feeling that something might happen during that day. So I put my vest on. I remember it was like 35 degrees. It was like beautiful weather in Queensland there. And I worked with the probation officer again, and around 3 p.m. I because I warned him in the beginning, I go, "Look, I have a gut feeling something's not going to go well today." And around 2 p.m. I went up to him and I said, "Hey, things are going well. Like, things are going great." Not knowing that it was a young terrorist was about to shoot up the headquarters and kill an innocent man, and his mission was to kill a police officer. And the young terrorist kid, he he actually walked past me 3 times. Not once, but 3 times he walked past me. The first one was in the station when I asked the injured officer. This is before we had the protective screens in the station and everything. So he went to a mosque, and then he walked past the station. I was in the front of the station asking the injured officer if she wanted lunch. And this is afterwards detectives backtracked where his moves were. That was the first time. The second one was the council cameras took a photo of me in the crossing of the car, and he walked straight in front of me. And when I got out to get a bottle of water, I was only a meter away from him. He had a loaded gun, and his mission was to kill a police officer. And I had no idea. Yeah. And I'm here for a reason. So we looked at each other, and I had no idea what he's going to do in the next 10, 15 minutes. And then he walked past me, and the council cameras took that photo. And the third one was, there was a call. We were actually going to headquarters where a suspicious car was on top of a gutter or something like that. And it was a public holiday. And when we got to the scene, the car wasn't there. And my partner goes, should we fly the flag, put the hat on and just walk and just, it was part of our taskings. Mm-hmm. I opened the door, and that gut feeling came back again. Just 99% of the time I said, yeah, for sure. We go for a walk, say hi to the guys in front of the headquarters, the security guys, the special constables. But at this time I opened the door, and I just had that gut feeling, and I shut the door and go, now let's drive. And he goes, are you sure? And I go, yeah, let's just go. So we drove off, and that's when he walked around the corner, the terrorist guy, and Curtis Cheng, the victim, walked out of the headquarters walking home. He was wearing a suit, so he thought he was a police officer. And he went behind him and shot him point blank in the back of the head and murdered him. And he started shooting in front of the headquarters. So we had the live feed. We were only like 5-10 minutes away. And then the live feed was active shooter, like something like that, like panic. In the special constables were like calling it on the radio. And then when we got to the scene, there was bodies on the ground. Not knowing what happened, and I commend CPR because this is before the fact. Like, we don't know like what was going on, and so we didn't know it was a terrorist incident. I'm doing CPR on both victims, and I've had dealings with Curtis Cheng before. Like, he was an accountant, and I've known him personally as well. And then, so the inspector at the time thought it was a staff disagreement. Like, she wasn't sure. Everyone was confused at the time. But then I thought, it's Friday. He's wearing, like one of those tradition dresses. And I went to the boss at the time, the inspector, and said, I think this is a terrorist incident. She it's not her fault. Like, she was nervous, and adrenaline's kicking in. She thought it was stupid. She called me stupid at the time, and she goes, no, it's not. And she was the only one who was authorized to call the bomb squad. So I said, I'll take charge of the matter. So I told her, I'm going to search the body. And she goes, no, you leave the body. It's a crime scene now. And I said, no, I can't. So I got everyone away from the body. Like, I got away just in case, he was strapped with bombs and whatnot, and someone's on a mobile phone. And so I sent my father a text message quickly saying I love him, and tell everyone I love him, my kids and everything, just quickly, because we couldn't wait for the bomb squad, because I wasn't in charge. Like, I didn't have any authorization for it. So everyone was away. I got everyone away for away from it, and I searched the young kid, but he had nothing on him. He had no bombs or anything like that, thank God. So, and this is the thing is, the night before I was at the casino. I was actually drinking in the casino, and I knew I was working day shift, and I was there till around 2 a.m. I was already like suffering, and but when this incident happened, it was like all of a sudden I was like awake, like alive. And especially, and so it was a long day, and that wasn't even the last critical incident on that year. And then there was another major incident where another man got murdered when I was supervising, and eventually because see, I was drinking on my breath. You can smell it on my breath. So my colleagues were giving me chewing gum and telling me they can smell alcohol on my breath before work. So I was still in denial. I was still thought I was okay. I thought it was just a phase, like I was going through. But things weren't going well at home. So eventually the boss himself, the superintendent, wrote a report for me to see the doctors, the PMO, the police medical officers in the city. And I did. And then they diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress. And things got worse before it got better, because I had no idea about this illness. And obviously they took my gun away from me, and they took me off work. And I was angry. I wasn't happy. And then I was eating more. I was drinking more. I was putting all this weight on. And within 6-8 months, I put on like 80 kilos. I was 180 kilos, 180. So I was very, very heavy, depressed, angry, and everything. So, and then I went to a hospital, like with Army veterans from Afghanistan and other police officers as well. So I took it on board, all the like the what they taught me how to get better, like if I have bad dreams and how to deal with it. So for example, when I was having bad dreams, I counted backwards or I kept myself grounded and reminded myself that I'm safe where I am. Instead of drinking and eating, I just controlled my breathing. So I learned how to breathe. And then I went and saw a GP doctor. And that doctor told me that that I needed a surgery for the stomach, and work will pay for it. So it's not cheap; it's expensive. And I said to him, "I don't need that. Like I can do it myself." And the doctor goes, "With all due respect, I've been a doctor for over 30 years. You can't even do a knee push-up." And I went on my knees and I tried to do a knee push-up, and he was right. I couldn't even do a knee push-up. And he got up and he was filling up the paper. He goes, "Anyhow, let's do this, the surgery." And I grabbed him, like to grab the paper, and I go, "No, I'm not doing it." And he goes, "You have to." And I go, "No, I don't." And I go, "I'll be back." So I went to the car and I broke down. And I made a commitment to myself that no matter what happens from now on, that I'm going to do my best. No matter what happens in my life, that I am going to try and do my best to lose this weight and get better mentally. Mm-hmm. And then so I made a commitment. I broke down in the car. I remember I broke down completely. And 2 weeks later, my wife, she kicked me out of home. So I lost everything, like my house, my child, all my belongings. All I had was my bag of clothes, and I slept in the car for a bit. So I was basically homeless. But I still made a promise to stay on the path. And I got into a program, like a training program. And long story short, I got involved in boxing. So I got into the boxing scene, and for charity, for the police legacy, for people who suffer from post-traumatic stress, and for the PCYC, for the youth of the streets and whatnot. And I competed a few times in boxing. And so I lost all the weight. I lost over 80 kilos. I've gone down to, at the moment, I'm around 97 kilos. So I was 180. And then during the boxing, I was around 105. 107, and so I did all that, and even to this day, I just learn all these things that no matter what you go through, that you can always. The mindset is so important. The mind, no matter what. I mean, I haven't, gone back to my family. I couldn't. The damage is done. So what happened? Said is so important. So the mind, no matter what. I mean, I haven't forgotten the past every day. Like there's so many different incidents that happened as well that I was involved with, but I haven't. I made peace with it. So no matter what. So like even last night, I had a bad dream, and the same thing. I always I control my breathing, because no matter where you are in life, you can always control your breathing. No matter what situation you are, you can always control your breathing. So I always try to control my breathing, get my heart rate down, and like 2 years, a year and a half actually. 2 days before my son's birthday, I tried to shut a window, and it was one of those side windows, yeah, and it was hard to shut, but the momentum would happen, and I shut it. The glass shattered, and my arm went straight through the glass. You can probably see the scar there.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yep.
So I cut my artery completely off, chopped off. My tendon was 100% off, and 60% of my nerve. I lost a liter of blood, and I still can't move my fingers. I can't straighten my fingers still to this day. I'm lucky to be alive, and still lucky to have an arm. But the most important when it happened was my heart rate was so down, like I controlled my breathing, even though I lost a liter of blood and my blood was splurting out my arm. Even the ambulance, they said, what do you do for a living? Like they wanted to know what I did, because my heart rate was lower than theirs. I just kept controlling my breathing. Like, I guess the experience in life taught me, and what I've learned is, it's better to be a, what's that saying go? You're better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war, or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So all these things I've learned in training. When I do training, I do weights now and boxing still. It's not for physical. I do it for mental first. Do it for mental and then physical. So mentality, mindset. So yes. So I'm still going every day. It's a daily battle still. It's like the mind is like a muscle. You need to train it every day. So you can't be like, once you climb a mountain, you've got to find a higher mountain and just keep going. So that's the most important. So, and never get comfortable. You always have to remember where you came from as well. And I think it's a blessing, all these things that happened to me. I think, it's hard to, it's you just got to keep going step by step. It's you versus you in the end of the day as well. Like, and so when I was losing all this weight, I remember sometimes you feel like you're not achieving anything. And when things go bad in life, instead of going backwards and eating cheesecake at McDonald's or whatnot, I paused, and then the next day keep going, slow steps, because I couldn't move. My feet was all gouted, and I was in deathbed. The doctor told me I was dying, 180 kilos. I'll send you photos, Matt, on what I was, like all these photos, and the difference it was. So I think that no matter what life throws on you, you can actually you can conquer it no matter what. So as long as you control your mind, that's the main thing. So yeah.
Wow, crikey. I almost don't know where to start, but I'll kick off with this. One of the things that you said was that you almost don't, well, not almost, you said you're kind of happy that you went through these things. And that might sound unusual. I think I would never presume to say I know how you feel, because even in my 30-year career, like, oh my God, that's pretty amazing what you've done there. But I kind of like feel the same way. For me, it was like post-traumatic. You know, everyone's saying, oh, you know, if you go through all this stress and you see all these things, it has an effect on you. Of course, yes. But I think half the problem, Dave, is that we've got this word disorder. So it's post-traumatic stress disorder. So you think of what's implied behind that. It means like if you go through all these things, you are going to come out like it's going to affect you negatively. Yes, but that doesn't mean it's definitive, because after that, you get the growth. You know what I mean? It's like when you cut the bush back and you see all the new shoots come out. For me, that's what it's like. Like I got this post-traumatic stress growth. Like I came out a better person because of the self-knowledge that I had. I think to a certain degree, and, you know, perhaps, God, I hope my wife and children would agree with this, but like, you know, I've integrated it to a certain degree. And sometimes you can use that for the positive. I'm happy about that. So I suppose the way of articulating would be post-traumatic stress growth. Do you get that?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I agree with that. It's exactly the same. It's just that, yeah, you've learned from things that you've learned, experienced. It's actually a blessing. But it's, if you well, they say we have two wolves inside of us, don't we? And a bad wolf and a good one. So and who wins is the one who you feed the most.
That's right.
So and the bad one's always there, but I don't want to let her out. But if, like you said, if you have to, if you need to protect your family, and if you need to protect yourself, but that's another thing as well, is like when we alert, like I have my back when I go to the restaurant. I don't like to go to sit where there's people behind me, and if I do, I count how many people. So already, before I sit down, there's 10 people over there, and I suss out if anyone's drinking too much or have any problems or mental issues or anything like that. My mother's in hospital at the moment, but she's okay, just a hernia operation. Same thing, I'm sussing out, I'm in the bed, I'm like doing security work and just sussing out everyone around and who's sitting next to her, because she's staying the night there, and I go, okay, she's okay. Security guards, you know, the exit doors and whatnot. So that's always playing in my head. But
you just can't help it. Eh? Like the kids now, like, we go to they know just to go to the table in the corner. They don't even ask. It's like, you know, they know where to go. They know where we're going to sit. They
yes, that's exactly right. My son knows.
I've actually taught them too, because they've started work at shops. So like I was with the girl, dropping her off at work, stopped her and go, all right. Guy comes in with a knife, starts running around. What are you going to do? He's like, Dad, no. Seriously. What are you going to do? It's Cairns Central. It's the big shopping centre. If anything is going to happen in Cairns, it's going to happen here. What are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. What are you going to do? All right, so you're standing here, because she often does the door. You're standing here at the door. You see someone come running up with a knife and all that kind of stuff. What are you going to do? She goes, oh, well, I suppose I'd call the alarm, and I'd try and get the doors down. Good. After that, what would you do? Oh, well, we'd probably look for a safe space. That's all you got to do. Like, I don't want them to be the.
That's right.
But it's like, no, dude. Like, if you thought about that in that safe space, because she's not going to get a chance to think if something goes bad.
That's right.
She's just going to need to act, and it's like, oh, I've already thought about this. I'm going to, like, boom, done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, I'm proud of that. Like, that would not have happened if I wasn't, you know, an ex-copper that kind of like had that. People use the word paranoia. It's only paranoid if only a mental illness if there aren't people out to get you. If there are people out to get you, it's a situational awareness. That's what it's a very different thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not an illusion, dude.
Yeah,
People out there.
Yes.
But the other thing that really resonated with me is like, okay, we're using the symbol of a wolf, and that's fine. But like, what I'm actually kind of like hearing, what's resonating with me is, well, we have these patterns of behavior And it seems to me, and this is how I've experienced things, and from what you've told me, it seems to be the same with you. It's like, okay, I know that if I indulge this thought, or if I'm in this situation, this pattern is going to run. It's like, and I can't help it. Once the pattern starts, you kind of can't help it. Like, and maybe you can breathe and stuff like that too. You know, you can do the breathe, but once the pattern starts running, the pattern is going to run. You know, so you've got to get control. And I think that's what I'm hearing with the breathing, is to make sure that pattern doesn't run. Like, you know, or, you know, you minimize the pattern if it starts to run. Because like, if you're going to have a bad dream, you're going to have a bad dream. You can't help that.
That's right.
If you're going to, you know, these things are going to a certain extent, although we all have free will. I'm not, you know, this is not in no way suggesting that we don't have free will. You can't control these things that are to a certain extent imposed on you. In mind, ironically. And incidentally, you know, that's why when I'm talking to people about human free will, they go, see, you can't help that. It's like, well, yeah, but that's not the same as free will. Like it's what it is you choose what patterns, like you said, you exercise the mind, you choose what patterns. I choose to run this pattern in my mind. That's correct. That's the pattern I'm going to run. Is that the same with you, mate? Like, is it?
Yeah, 100%. The power of the mind. You don't let the emotions take control of you. So, like, for example, if I've got to wake up early in the morning, the night before, and I say, I want to go to the gym in the morning, yeah? And I wake up in the morning, you got only a certain amount of time before your mind can take over. So for me, I've got like 10 seconds to decide. And within that 10 seconds, if I'm just, you know, I count down 10, 9, and then that's it. I'm out. No matter how I'm feeling and all that, because I know it's going to do me good. I know it's going to set out the whole day, right? So I know I start the day right. And I know what physical and mental injury it is. And I know it will help, like, for example, rehab with my arm and all these other physical injuries that happen during work. Like, I've got like a slip disc as well, and my knee and my shoulder, popped out my shoulder, and all these other ones. But I know that it all helps. So like rehab, physical, I'm not competing against anyone else. It's just me versus me. So I know that controlling your mind, I want to be a better version who I was the day before. So yeah, it's always me versus me, you versus you. So I want to be a better person who I was, because I know what happened when I was, you know, suffering, and it wasn't me. So I let my emotions take control of me. I was in a dark place, and I lost everything in my life, like almost everything. The only thing I didn't lose was hope, and I'm still going. And I always remember that all these things, like if for example, you don't know if you're hungry if you've never been full. Like if you're always been full, you wouldn't know what hungry is. So when you know what starving is, and when you're really hungry, you know what it feels like, and then that motivates me. So
yeah, you know how dark it can get, and that means you really appreciate, like, you know, you really appreciate when things are good. If you know how bad things can get, you really appreciate the good. There's that Irish, you know, may there be enough rain in your life so that you appreciate the sunshine.
100%, yes.
And yeah, you've kind of got that. What would you say to people? Because like when I'm discussing this with people, and when I used to discuss it a lot in the job about this, is you did mention hope. So I would say that this is nested in hope, actually. So not losing hope, like once you've kind of like really lost hope, that's really hard to come back from.
Yeah.
But getting discipline. So, you know, when you're 180 kilograms and you just want to sit on your ass and eat macas, and you even weigh, you know, lifting your arm makes you tired. You need discipline. Like, how did you install that discipline in yourself? Like, it had gone. So how did you get that discipline back in your life?
Yeah. You got to make a plan. So I had a notebook, and I wrote down the date, and I go, today's date. So I know that the one thing you can't buy back, and money can't buy back, is time. So for me, time was precious, and I knew that, I know what the journey is going to be. I knew it was going to be a difficult one. And like I said, no matter what happened during the start of the journey, and then 2 weeks into it, I got kicked out of home, and I was living out of my car. So I knew that no matter what, so I knew from the beginning, I made a plan, and I stayed disciplined, and I had like 1,000 YouTube videos of like David Goggins and Jocko Wilkin and all these motivation, like you type in motivation things, are listening to all these other people that have gone through warfare and weight loss as well. And then afterwards was Tyson Fury, you know, the boxer. He also lost 80 kilos. I think he copied me. So he lost all the weight and he fought the boxing. But all these people, like, they inspire me. So, and I wanted to be the hero of my own story. So you're the director of your own movie. So you're the author in your own book. So you are in control of yourself. No matter what negative things that people might say or the outcomes and all that, you got to listen to yourself and you got to believe in yourself. So you got to believe in something that you don't see and know that you can make it no matter what. And I couldn't see the light for such a long time. Like, I couldn't hardly walk. I couldn't walk 5 meters before I lost my breath. So I knew that I had to start slow. So I started slow, and I know I had to be patient. And knowledge is power as well. But as long as you can control the mind, like, I didn't do any special diet. The special diet was cutting out the crap that I was eating. So cutting out the sugar. I was drinking 1.25 liters of premium Coke a day. So just cut that out. Cut out the cheesecake. I know what's bad. So you got to be really honest with yourself as well. So you can't just, in the end of the day, you can't look at yourself in the mirror and go, yeah, I did my best, but no, you didn't. You just had 2 cheeseburgers an hour before. So you got to be really hard on yourself as well, but in a good way. And just got to be accountable for yourself, and find someone who can be accountable. So find a good friend of yours or family member and say, hey, listen, in 2 months, I want to lose 5 kilos, 10 kilos, or whatever it is. Keep me accountable, please. And then that person, you can't let that person down. So when you want to cheat on yourself or do something like that, you got someone, so you have to do that. So that's what I found myself. Be impatient and just start slow, step by step. You'll get there, I promise. But you got to control your mind and control your emotions. Don't let your emotions take control of you, no matter what it is and no matter what situation you're in. It is hard, but it's doable. Because if I can do it, I don't have any special skills. I didn't have much money. I just knew that if I could control my mind, I'm able to do it, and I did. And I won a weight loss competition. I did these different challenges. I fought in the boxing ring a few times now. I fought like 5 times now in the boxing ring. I might be having one in October this year. So I'll get into the training for that, just so I can stay active, disciplined, and improvise. Even though I injured my hand, I use my left hand. So there's all different sorts of things. So if I can't walk, I'll go on the bike. So I couldn't go on the treadmill. I went on the bike. So the stationary bike. So there's all different improvise. There's always different strategies. So yeah.
Some people do lose hope, and I get that. Like, I've never been completely nihilistic, but I think, in certain circumstances, it's kind of rational to lose hope. But what would you say to someone to get hope back into their life if they're kind of like not there? Because I suppose really you must have felt a certain degree of hopelessness when you're walking out of that doctor's surgery. Like, he goes, mate, you got to have the guts to get the gut staple, blah, 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 blah. Like, walked out of there and you've, broken down in the car. Like,
yeah,
that your moment of hopelessness, like, talk me through that, bro.
Yeah. At the, you just really have to believe in yourself. If no one believes in you, because no one believed in me. Like, I remember on the night of, I went up to my father and I said, Dad, I'm going to lose all this weight. I'm actually going to go to 100 kilos. He loves me. My parents love me. But I never forget the look he gave me. He gave me a look like,
good luck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, in other words, he didn't have any hope on me. He didn't have any, no chance. Like, he's seen me eat a lot. He's seen me go through, he saw me lost my family not long before that. And I remember that look. And I remember what the doctor told me. I remember some of my friends, circle of friends that I had, that they were actually betting money that I wouldn't lose all that weight. It's like, because I told them as well. So I wanted to keep people accountable. And I said, oh, I'm going to lose. And they go, no chance. You can't. So I at that moment, it's like I lost that hope. Like maybe they're right, but then I realized while knowing that you have to believe in yourself when no one believes in you, that knowing that, you know what, I'm going to prove everyone, and especially myself, because I still have family. Like even though I wasn't living with my child, I still have a child that he will look up to me. And I knew that I said to myself, what kind of father am I going to be for my son and my daughter? Because I got a daughter too. What kind of dad am I going to be? What kind of brother am I going to be? What kind of friend am I going to be? What kind of ex-colleague am I going to be? So I wanted to do it no matter what, and believed in myself when no one believed in myself. So I started finding that hope again, slowly. And I knew that the light was there, but I couldn't see it. It was dark. But I knew that slowly, and step by step, no matter how long it took, I'm going to get there. And that's how I found the hope, just to believe in myself, to surround yourself with positiveness as well. If there's any negativity in your life, walk away from it. If someone's telling you all these negative things, you can't let it. I turned the TV off. I didn't watch the news no more. I started, walking in nature, like in the park, and getting fresh air. And I put myself in situations that were like positive in life. But also when it's sort of negative, you don't think it's negative. Like when it was raining, I said, well, it's a beautiful day still. You can either sing in the rain or you can cry in the rain. So I decided to sing in the rain. So I enjoyed it. So I still put an umbrella up and I still did it. So I said to myself, no matter what kind of weather it is, and when it's sunny, I appreciate it even more, because I walked in the rain. I trained in the rain. I suffered in the rain. I suffered in these bad times. When it was nice, I enjoyed it even more. So, and that's how I found hope, that no matter what kind of weather it is, no matter kind of things that happen around my life, as long as you did something, as long as you can be accountable for yourself, and always believe in yourself. And that's what I continue doing. And God willing, I can do it for the rest of my life. Just continue. And so that's how I found my hope.
Yeah. Well, good on you. Just kept searching. I suppose it's really that simple.
The main thing I want to tell people is that acknowledge if you need help. There are people that do care. Don't hold it in. Trust me. Don't hold it in. I held it in, and I lost a lot. I almost lost my life, literally. So because I wasn't true to myself. If you see things that are changing in you, like if you're not sleeping well, or if you're drinking and your behavior, you're snappy and you're angry and all these things, if you're true to yourself, you know that you're not doing well. It's not a phase. You do need help. There's nothing wrong with that, because in the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we all need to reach out. And there are people there that do care. Like I'm one of them. If anyone needs to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to help them and listen to them, because I wish I knew this when I was at my worst point. And I knew there was people out there, but I just didn't acknowledge it. So I wasn't true to myself. And then when you do acknowledge that and be true to yourself,
What are you going to do?
Find the right steps.
No. Seriously.
Don't worry about what other people
What are you
think,
going?
because you can only get better slowly. You don't want to get worse. So you don't want to lose everything. But yeah, reach out, and then just keep going and believe in yourself. And I promise things will get better, no matter what it is, no matter what situation it is. And surround yourself with good people. And if you can't, there was one stage that I didn't have any. I didn't thought of any. So I just knew that it's you versus you. So I knew that I had to wake up early in the morning to go for those walks, and then eventually go for the jogs or go to the gym. You just got to put your shoes on and just take that step, and just go for it, no matter what life throws at you.
I'm out of the job now. I had 30 years up, and I just hit my years by day. Like I was just becoming a person. I mean, there are a lot of things. I was becoming a person I just didn't like. And yeah, my long-suffering wife was like, hey, I don't know who you are anymore. So yeah, you kind of like, to my credit, I did listen to that. But there's a little bit of me, and I'm happy out. But there's a little bit of me that still misses it.
Mm.
There's a little bit of you that still, like, sometimes, I mean, I would not go back. You know, I would not go back, no matter how much money they offered me. It wouldn't matter what. It's like, it's like, no, I'm not going back. Like, that chapter closed, done. Thank you very much. But just every now and then I get that twinge, you know what I mean?
Yes, of course. Because I feel the same, because we joined to make a difference. We joined to help. But I believe that I feel that I can still help out people. I still have people reach out to me. They know that I've lost all this weight, and I still can help out. And that's why we joined, to help people. And I do miss it, that part of it. But I also want to, I wish I had this knowledge that to reach out and put my hand up if I needed help. And if I did that sooner, maybe I would have got help sooner, instead of I held it in. And I remember going home a few times and just going straight to the backyard and drinking, just ignoring everyone, because I didn't want to talk to anyone about my day, so it was wrong. But yeah, there's part of me that do miss it, but the way I see it is, I can't go back as well.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that, and I was true to myself, but it doesn't mean that your life is ruined. There's other things that you can do. And for example, my arm, I can't do everything with it, but I can improvise and still enjoy it. I actually use my hand more now. When it was fully recovered, now I use it more. So I use, because the nerve damage, I can still feel the pain every morning, but you appreciate it more when you get damaged. You appreciate life more when you go through things like you were saying before. So you appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. So
kind of intense conversation with a chap who's gone through quite a bit. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did. Please please share. If you want to get in contact with Dave, he's just leave any comments down the bottom, and I'll make sure that they get to him. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys all next week.